Welcome back to Pieces of Vinyl. My name's Rocco Richardson, and this is my vinyl tag for 2022. Now, I never knew that these things existed, otherwise I would have tried to do one earlier in the year. I've never even had a channel before, so this is the beginning of my channel, and so this is my vinyl tag, even though it's April of 2022. I got the idea for doing this from Dylan from Noble Records. Now, I know a lot of people out there have done vinyl tags, but he's the one that I found, and he's a pretty cool guy, and I like a lot of his tastes. So he inspired me to do this, so shout out to him. His link to his channel's in the description below, as well as his store, so definitely go check that out. I wanted to do this because this gives you a really good idea of who I am, and this is like a pretty cool little scavenger hunt through my record collection, which is a lot of fun. So we're gonna start out with the best purchase that I got in 2021, and this is a great one to start out with because it kind of kickstarted me back into collecting vinyl again. 2021 was a big year for me to get back into vinyl, and this was one of the first pieces that I got. This piece of vinyl right here is the Daptone Super Soul Review live at the Apollo. I believe this was recorded in 2014 because it has all the major players from Daptone Records on it, including Charles Bradley, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, Manahan Street Band, the Budos Band, Sugarman 3, pretty much everybody that I ever loved from Daptone Records is on this, and it's amazing. There's amazing artwork here that actually goes through the entire gatefold. I got the tie-dye blue vinyl edition. The tie-dye blue vinyl is basically just like a clear blue vinyl, and this is from Daptone Records. Now, it's the support your local record store variant, if you will. So this is the white label. They make a bunch of different variants when they release their records, and when you get the white label, that's usually meaning that it's the indie store release. Although I got this right off of their website. So I love Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. I love Daptone Records, and this thing got me into like collecting vinyl again. So that's why I love this record, and that's why I picked it as my best of 2021. The record that I spent the most on in 2021 also happens to be my prized dig, so I'm just going to do both of those together right now. This record is one of my most prized records, and it is why I spent the most on it in 2021. It's also one of the records that I've ever spent the most on, period. Now, it's not that expensive in the world of records, but you go look it up on Discogs if you want to see how much I actually spent on it. But this is the Frighteners, Nothing More to Say, and this is the Purple Splatter edition. Now, the Purple Splatter vinyl is absolutely beautiful. If you can see it here in the video, absolutely amazing vinyl. And this group is really special to me. When the album came out in 2016, I tried to get this record and it was immediately sold out, and I never knew why. And the reason why is because the singer passed away right before the album actually even pressed. This is some of the greatest reggae, rocksteady reggae that you will ever hear. It has one of my favorite songs on it, which is Gonna Make Time, and that is actually a cover from the Son and Star version of Gonna Make Time, which is written by Homer Steinweiss, which is the drummer for the Dap Kings and the drummer for like the stable of musicians in Daptone Records. But the Frighteners is just amazing. And the fact that this Purple Splatter vinyl was even made was awesome. I think there's only like 500 copies of it or something like that. I also have the sequel to it, which is the More to Say versions, which is the dub version, which came with 3D glasses, which is totally awesome too. But I will talk about that in another video, but the Frighteners is definitely one of the sickest groups. The next one on the list is a band that you first saw live ever. The first band I ever saw live was Page and Plant on the No Quarter tour at the Spectrum when I was 12 years old. So go back and do the math there and you can figure out how old I am, I guess. But it was a fantastic show. I kind of didn't really realize what I was seeing at the time, that I was seeing two musical legends that were so influential on me. I was a huge Nirvana fan at the time, so I was kind of like right along the path of getting into John Bonham and stuff like that. But I decided to choose Led Zeppelin 1 as the band that I saw live because it was Page and Plant. I don't have a Page and Plant vinyl. I guess I don't know if they made a Page and Plant no quarter vinyl, but if they did, let me know in the comments below. Maybe we'll go check it out. This is actually from 2022. I bought this at Walmart. I actually have a couple copies of Led Zeppelin 1, but I decided to pick this one up. It comes with this cool little Schaefer Music Festival in Central Park. You get this from Walmart. And it comes on 180 gram vinyl, which is actually really nice. You get this Central Park Schaefer Music Festival in Central Park. It's like a fake pass, I guess, you know, a season pass from 1969 from when they were on tour. So that's pretty cool. And you get that from Walmart. I don't have any vinyl from a band that came out in 2021, but I do have a new band to me from 2021. And they just came out in, I think, 2019 or something like that. But that is Brain Story. And they came out with an EP called Ripe. And it came out with a red vinyl edition. If you haven't figured out, I really love the variants and the red color editions and the different color vinyl out there. But this thing is just sweet. Look at that amazing transparent vinyl. But Ripe is their EP. And it's these three guys here. And this is Big Crown Records. Big Crown Records is another amazing record label out of Brooklyn, New York. They have an awesome recording studio there called the Diamond Mine, and they just make some of the sickest records. I want to say soul, but they make so much more than just soul records. Soul, funk, and you know, kind of jazzy stuff. Pretty much the one guy, Leon Michaels, who's one of the founders of it, basically says that anything that he likes, and I apparently seem to like everything that he likes. So Big Crown Records is awesome. Check out Big Crown Records and check out Ripe from Brain Story. Now, Brain Story also has an LP called Buck, which is really sick too. So you want to check that out also. Buck and Ripe from Brain Story, both sick records. The next one's for an album still in shrink. Now, I'm sure it's supposed to be an album that's like super old that you have that's still in shrink wrap. I don't have many albums that are super old, and I don't have really any that are super old that are still in shrink. I kind of looked. I think most of them got tore off for a while. But I keep all of my albums in shrink wrap when I get them. But I have one right here that actually is still unopened. And that is the blue vinyl edition for the Plaid Room Records exclusive of Lee Field's My World. Now, I have this record already. I got it in 2008 when it came out, the regular black vinyl from Truth and Soul Records. Now, I just talked about Big Crown Records. Truth and Soul Records was basically the record label that they had before they became Big Crown Records. And Truth and Soul, I pretty much have all of their vinyl, all of their LPs, and all of their 45s. Lee Field's My World, one of the sickest records you can get. Lee Fields, if you're not familiar with him, he's one of the greatest soul artists out there. He has so many records on Truth and Soul and Big Crown Records, and he has a new record coming out this year on Daptone Records, and he's on tour right now supporting that. So definitely go check him out on tour. I think he's in Europe right now. I think he'll be in the US this summer. I'm going to try to definitely see him in the US this summer. But Lee Field's blue vinyl edition, and this is just, I mean, look at him right there. I mean, this is just the man. But this is a still in shrink wrap record. The next one here on the list is for a concept record. I chose Chick Corea the Leprechaun. It's one of my favorite fusion records. This is Chick Corea at his height of fusion. I think it's either right before he got with Return to Forever or right after. But I do know that Steve Gadd is the drummer on this record, and Night Sprite and the drumming on Night Sprite is just some of the sickest drumming out there. And Chick Corea is really good. He just passed away, and I just, you know, I love Chick Corea. So this is a great record, concept album, The Leprechaun. He definitely weaves some thoughts throughout this thing. But I don't know if there's any words in the whole thing, but it's definitely a real sick record. There he is on the back of it, giving you some Chick Corea awesomeness. The drumming on this album is some of my favorite drumming in the world. That's kind of why I chose it. So definitely go check it out if you're a drummer. Even if you're not a drummer and you like good drumming, check this album out. For a record that I love that I haven't shown much love to lately, I chose the Beastie Boys, The In Sound from Way Out. This is one of my favorite instrumental funk records of all time. If you've never heard this record, it's basically a collection of instrumentals from Ill Communication and Check Your Head, mostly Check Your Head, but from like a lot of the stuff from that era from them. But it is one of the most fantastic instrumental records ever. It's really great. I love it. And this is the repressing of it. You can tell it's the repressing because the sound from is in orange on this as opposed to in blue on the original. They also have, on the original, there's a variant that comes out with yellow vinyl, which I'm going to probably try and get one day. It's pretty expensive though. This is one of my favorite records. I just haven't shown it much love. Another reason why I love this record is because this whole album art and design and even the title, The In Sound From Way Out, comes from a 60s record that I actually went out and bought from Perry Kingsley. It's these two guys that made like pop 60s record, but the In Sound From Way Out, electronic pop music of the future. And it's pretty far out. It's kind of weird stuff. But yeah, this is the Beastie Boys version, and there is the original that they got the album art inspired by. So if you ever have a chance, go check this record out too. For my live album, I decided to choose Herbie Hancock Flood. Now, if you've never heard this album, this is recorded in Japan in 1975 with the Headhunters at their height. Herbie Hancock started a band called the Headhunters with Paul Jackson, Mike Clark, Bill Summers, and Benny Maupin, and man, it is sick. Now, the original Headhunters had Harvey Mason as the drummer, and I actually just kind of realized that again because I just got the 45 version of that, and I plan on making a video about that too because that 45 version is really, really, really sick. But this LP is a Japanese import. It doesn't have the OVI strip, but it is absolutely amazing. The drumming on this from Mike Clark and the percussion from Bill Summers is just some of the sickest funk that you will ever hear live. And it just I always think about it, that it must have just blown the people of Japan away just seeing this in 1975. Like, it's 1975 and you're coming out and hearing Herbie Hancock. There's a moment here where he comes out on, I believe it's Spanka Lee and Hang Up Your Hang-Ups. Those two on this record are just two of the sickest versions. Definitely go check this one out, Herbie Hancock Flood. For an album from a different continent, I'm assuming I got this from the other continent. I may have gotten it from a dealer in the US, but the record label is definitely from a different continent. And I'm pretty sure this record was pressed in Finland. This is Calypso King and the Soul Investigators from Timian Records. If you've never heard of Timian Records, you're going to hear about them if you ever follow this channel. So definitely subscribe because I'm going to make a whole video about Timian Records. I have a package sitting back here with 15 Timian 45s that I just bought from Daptone Records. So they are sold in the US by other record labels, kind of like from Coal Mine and from Daptone. Timian is from Finland. They're a Finnish record label. They have a lot of instrumental jazz, funk, mostly like raw soul and 60s funk style stuff, but they're also dabbling into a lot of other genres as well. And Calypso King and the Soul Investigators, Home Cooking was one of my first ones I ever got from them. I love the back. I love all these basic, like soul looking records. My record from another continent, from Europe, and there it is, my Calypso King and the Soul Investigators. I don't really have a lot of records that are like out of my comfort zone. If I'm going to buy an LP, it's going to be something that I really like. I've probably already listened to it on digital. I don't usually get that far out of things, but I have been trying to stretch my listening into like more rock oriented things lately. I got really into jazz and funk and really into raw soul and stuff like that, but Daptone has come out with a new record label, Wick Records. I've never really been into a lot of garage music, and man, this is like a lot of raw 60s era rock, and it's really cool. This is a Wick record from T. Benny and the Buzz Brothers. Now, I'm pretty sure T. Benny is Thomas Brennick from the Daptone stable of musicians. Tommy T&T Brennick, he is the founder of Dunham Records. We'll be talking about one of those records later. But this is the green version, the color variant version. A lot of their 45s they put out are just color, like they'll put out random colors and it'll have 5 or 6 different colors and you just get the whatever random color that you get. So I got this awesome green and black version, which I think is really nice. And so if you get a chance, check out Wick Records. If you're a fan of any kind of garage rock or any kind of like real fuzzy, 60s mod type rock, check this out. This is my 45 of this too. One of my only 45s on the list. I'm glad to present that as well. The next piece that I'm supposed to be looking at here is a punk or new wave record. I'm not really that big of a fan of much new wave music. I am a fan of punk music, but I don't really have a lot of punk vinyl. So I'm going to try to correct that for 2022 and buy some more punk vinyl. But for this one, I just chose this piece of vinyl, The Police, Zenyatta Mundata. It's pretty sweet. I like The Police. I have a couple of their records. I have The Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity. I just found out the other day that the Synchronicity has all of these variant color labels and things like that. So that's pretty crazy. Definitely check out Zenyatta Mundata if you've never heard that. This is my new wave album for my vinyl tag. So one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of punk or new wave records is because I've collected a lot of jazz records. I do like jazz a lot. I'm a huge jazz fan. For this one, I wanted to point out someone that I don't think gets a lot of love in the jazz world, or at least, I don't know that he gets a lot of love, but I'm going to point him out. And that is Pat Martino. Pat Martino East is one of his early records. If you've never heard of Pat Martino, he's a jazz fusion guitarist in the 60s and 70s, came out, but he was a performer all the way up until, I believe, 2021. He passed away in 2021. I actually had the opportunity to interview him in a video that I'm going to put a link to in the description below. Definitely check out that interview. It's one of the best interviews that I've ever heard from a jazz musician. One of the reasons is because if you've never heard anything about Pat Martino, he has a very unique story. He had an aneurysm in the middle of his career. He was already a well-renowned jazz musician in the mid-70s or 80s, I think, when he had his aneurysm. And he had this accident. He had to have an operation. And when he came out of it, he completely lost all of his memory, including the ability to play the guitar. He still had the muscle memory of being able to play, but his brain was not connecting it there. And he created his own different abstract ways of figuring out how to play the guitar again. And not only that, but his philosophy on life is just amazing. He wrote a book called The Here and Now because the past doesn't exist for him and the future is unwritten. So the only thing to focus on is the here and now. And if you ever get a chance, definitely check out some Pat Martino. This album, East, is one of my favorites. It's one of his early records. What is really unique about listening to him too is you can listen to his early records and then listen to his later records after the aneurysm. And it's basically like listening to two different guitar players, and it's kind of eerie and kind of crazy, but you should definitely do it and definitely, take a study in it. But Pat Martino, I wanted to put a shout out for him. He's one of the best jazz guitarists ever. I don't have many soundtracks, but I chose one that I thought would be a very unique one here because it's not a soundtrack. This is a fake soundtrack, although it looks like a very much a real soundtrack. This is The Revenge of Mr. Mopaji, original motion picture soundtrack album from a fake movie that does not exist, which a band, the Mike Jackson and the Soul Providers, which technically is not really a real band. This is Gabriel Roth, aka Bosco Man, who is the producer and owner of Daptone Records. He made this back in the day. I mark this as a Desco record. I'm pretty sure it's a Desco record, or they released it as Desco Records, which was his first record label. It's supposed to be funk instrumental music for a kung fu movie, but it's a kung fu movie that never existed. So they went to all these different record stores and kind of flooded the market with these things and said, oh yeah, it's from this, these are copies that we found from, an old warehouse. And a lot of people were like, oh, I saw that movie, even though it never actually existed. So it's a great story. And they even put fake pictures on the back here. Revenge of Mr. Mopaji. This is my original Desco Records version. I don't know if they ever re-released this on Daptone, but it is one of their first ones. And it's basically all the stable of musicians that'll eventually go on to be the Dap Kings and Manahan Street Band and the Budos Band and a lot of different guys like that. So definitely check out The Revenge of Mr. Mopaji. I was very, very diligent about trying to find a record that does not have any words on the cover. It's a very hard thing to do. I had to look through my entire catalog for a while trying to find one. I was going to go with Sly and the Family Stone. There's a riot going on, but there is actually a little serial number up on the top left, so I was very strict about it. I was like, no, has to have no writing on it at all. So I got the Budos Band 5, which this is actually a variant of their main 5 label or record cover. The regular one does have the Budos Band 5 on the record label. This is their etched printed edition with red color vinyl. It comes in this awesome black sleeve, which is really nice. And the vinyl, the sleeve, the jacket kind of feels like recycled paper material, but it's on this volcano red transparent vinyl. It's like an oil red volcano, which is real sick. If you have never heard of the Budos Band, the Budos Band is one of the sickest groups out there. They are a group from Daptone Records, started by Tommy TNT Brennick, and he is one of the guitar players of the group, and they're basically an Afrobeat ensemble, if that was the easiest way I could describe them, but I feel like their music has gone a little bit further into like just driving, grinding, hardcore instrumental funk, and it's really great music. So you should definitely take a listen to the Budos Band if you've not heard of them. They, I believe, have like 6 albums out now. This is their 5th one. Every one of their albums is great. I have every one of their albums. A record from the past from a band that I bypassed until recently has to go 100% to Queen. I am now a huge Queen fan. I was not really that big of a Queen fan up until really like a couple weeks ago. My good friend Frank just bought the Queen studio box set on vinyl, and I plan on having him on here one day to kind of share all of that with you, because it's 16 LPs in color and they're just beautiful, and we plan on like going through the whole thing and showing it. But I asked him, how should I get started with Queen? And he mentioned Queen Jazz. And I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure I have that. And I looked through my collection and lo and behold, I have Queen Jazz. And this is an original copy of it. It doesn't sound the greatest. It's been beat up, but I still listen to it and it's still great. And I gotta say, Queen is a definitely awesome band. I totally bypassed them until recently. You should not. Definitely go check out Queen. They're very sick. I'm kind of feel like a dumbass for not even knowing about them until now, or at least how awesome they were. I always knew how great they were, but I just never really got into them. And it's funny because I'm really into a lot of bands like Metallica and like the Foo Fighters and stuff like that, and they're all hugely influenced by Queen, and they always mention it, and I've just never really got into them that much. But definitely don't do that. Definitely go check out Queen. As if I have to tell people to check out Queen. I did get a box set in 2021 that actually came out in 2021, so I figured why not show that one. So I'm showing L. Michaels Affair Yeti Season. It is Yeti season still, because they just repressed this in blue, and I'm going to go probably get that repress. This is such an awesome little box set. It comes with the deluxe version, which this is, comes with a 50-page children's book inspired by the album, written by Francine Prose, and I'm apologizing if I'm getting that wrong, and illustrated by Omar El Oms Juarez. Exclusive companion Little Crown, Big Crown, because this is a Big Crown record, so they have a Little Crown 45 that goes with it, pressed on blue vinyl. So this came with a 45 inside as well as a children's book, and it's all this type of artwork for Yeti season. I actually have also the EP that goes with this too, which is the Abominable EP. And I just love this artwork. And this is one of my favorite records from Big Crown, from one of my favorite bands. L. Michaels Affair is the project of Leon Michaels, who is the owner of Big Crown Records, who also used to own Truth and Soul Records, which was founded out of Soulfire Records. So I plan on talking about like all of that lineage, because I'm a huge fan of all those guys. Big Crown Records has a lot of really great stuff coming out already right now in 2022. It's not a lot of the traditional stuff like this L. Michaels Affair box set. This album, Yeti Season, is Asian-inspired funk. It goes off the complete path in so many different ways. They use so many cool instruments, and they use so many cool vocalists in it. Definitely check out L. Michaels Affair. Definitely check out Yeti Season. They have a lot of other albums out there too. They did a lot of work with Wu-Tang Clan. I'm not the first on L. Michaels Affair, but you're going to hear about him on this channel. I could have definitely used that L. Michaels Affair as my favorite album artwork of 2021. Definitely was one of my favorites, but I have to go with this as well, because I got to put some love in here for Penrose Records and the Penrose Showcase, and just this entire graphic, and everything about Penrose Records. I am a huge fan of Daptone, as you've heard me say repeatedly in this video and probably every video that I'll make here about records. But Penrose Records is one of their imprint labels now, and it's basically supposed to be like Daptone West. And so it's their West Coast sounding soul music from artists like The Sacred Souls and Los Yesterdays and the Altons and Jason Joshua. And this is their Penrose showcase. I have all of these 45s. They also make these 45s in color variants. And then they also release the 45s with pink labels. Now, I am not sure, and I plan on doing a whole video about just Penrose Records. I'm not sure if these guys were another label that got bought out by Daptone Records, or if Daptone started them straight up from the get-go. Everything says a Bosco Man production, so I'm assuming they are. This is the clear color variant that comes with this, and I'm very, very, very excited for this record. I love it. They just recently came out with a repressing of this, but this is the clear vinyl, and this vinyl sounds absolutely amazing. And they just came out with the black version of this again. It's repressed, coming out in 2022, so definitely pick it up from Daptone. I might pick up the black copy just so I have a nice little player copy and I can keep this one nice and fresh from being spun ever. But man, I love this record. I can't stop spinning it. That's why I also have all of the 45s as well, and I spin those constantly also. But man, Penrose Records, if you have not heard them, definitely go check them out. But this is one of my favorite artworks. I just love this rose. And like I said, they even have like a set of labels that where the teardrop is a little bit further down. These guys get like super sneaky with this kind of stuff, but I love this artwork, and I just love the look of all of this. So this is my favorite one of 2021. Still in the shrink wrap too. That's what this hype sticker is also. My choice for a color vinyl, it's a color vinyl that I got in 2021, is the Manahan Street Band, the exciting sounds of the Manahan Street Band. Again, another Daptone Records, but this is their imprint Dunham Records, produced by Tommy TNT Brennick, the guitarist from the Budos Band, who started this group. This is kind of a combination of the Budos Band and El Michaels Affair and a couple of those guys. But this color variant here is the green splatter. So it's the green splatter edition, and it is one of my favorite color variants of all time. I love the green labels for Dunham Records, and I love Dunham Records' whole green look. So to have this awesome green splatter was really cool. I believe there's another green variant of this record that's like a solid green. There's also, I just recently found out, another cover for this record that only 1,500 were produced for friends and family of the band only. Now, if you open up the inside of this, and why not, I'll just show it to you. The inside of this record has a wonderful picture here, and this wonderful picture is actually the main cover of the alternate cover. Maybe one day I might get that, because that's how much of a fan I am of these guys. But definitely check out the Manahan Street Band. This is their third LP, and they have the self-titled, and then the Crossing, and then the exciting sounds of the Manahan Street Band. This is my color edition. My last one here is an album that I got as a gift in 2021. I actually got a little bit of a package gift with it. I got an LP box set, and shocker, it's going to be Daptone Records, but it is their 100th 45. Now, this came out a couple years ago, and this kind of shows like I've been not really collecting records for a few years. I had kids and I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I just wasn't able to collect a lot of records. But now that I've been getting back into it a lot, one of the things I've been trying to do is, back here you see there is the collection of 145s from Daptone Records. I'm trying to collect all 145s. I have mostly all of them. The last 20 are color variants, and so they're a little expensive to find at this point. I have most of them, but they're hard to find. This is number 100, and this is actually the record. This is the 45. You can flip it and play both sides of it, and it's very cool that you can even play this, but it's not totally practical to play. What's really awesome is if you buy this, they give you a package deal. They give you this poster along with this record, along with the regular black 45. So as they say, one for the ball and one for the wall. And it's really cool. So I like that they know that you're not really going to play this and you want to keep it as like a keepsake. So it's pretty awesome that they do it that way. They also make a clear variant, which is a record store day release. And that's very cool. They also made an ultra super rare clear variant with a piece of the actual master tape that was cut off and put into the vinyl, and you could have gotten your name etched into it. It was part of a scavenger hunt thing that they did, and there's one available on Discogs right now. I'm very tempted to buy it just to own it, but it wouldn't have my name on it, so I'm a little hesitant to do that, but I would totally talk about it on this channel if I did buy it. But I really, really wish I would have known about that when they were making it. That is 100% something I would have bought. But if you definitely don't know who Daptone Records is, you're going to find out if you follow this channel. So this was my gift. Thank you very much, Frank. He was the guy that bought that Queen box set that we talked about earlier. He got this for me as well as a couple other things. All right, so that was my vinyl tag for 2022. I've never gotten to do anything like this before. I didn't know this kind of thing existed, and it was really fun to go through my whole record collection and kind of do this little scavenger hunt. I plan on doing more for the vinyl community, for different vinyl community tags or whatever. If you liked anything in this video, definitely let me know in comments below. This is one of my first videos, so don't kill me if I did anything wrong on how to do this, or do kill me. Comment below and have a big argument with your friends and start talking about it a lot. It'll help my algorithm and stuff like that. Definitely check me out and follow me on Discogs. You can look at my collection there, and you can subscribe to this channel, Pieces of Vinyl, to see any more of my pieces in the future. We'll see you guys on the next one.